Well, the world didn't just lose a legendary performer in the passing of Michael Jackson, but a cultural icon and generational touchstone who bridged several divides, especially the racial divide.
Michael Jackson made culture accept a person of color way before Tiger Woods, way before Oprah Winfrey, way before Barack Obama.
That was the Reverend Al Sharpton yesterday out in front of the Apollo Theater in Harlem, moments after the news hit that Michael Jackson had died at age 50. Well, Fox News contributor and Columbia University professor Marc Lamont Hill recently spent a lot of time with Michael. He joins us now. Professor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Megan.
Such sad news, and you could feel the pain, especially in Reverend Al's words yesterday and in the people behind him up in Harlem who felt a real attachment to him. He had performed at the Apollo Theater when he was very young and went on, as everybody knows, to reach incredible international superstardom. What do you think will be his legacy among the African American community?
Well, one thing is, in addition to bridging the racial divide, he also bridged the generational divide. So part of his legacy is that someone born in 1958 had access to Michael Jackson, someone born in 1978, and someone born in 1998 all had access to Michael Jackson as an international superstar. So in a sense, he was the entire community's icon. He was the entire community's idol. And so Michael Jackson, you know, took what came from an organic place like Gary, Indiana, small, poor, black, and really projected himself into the global stage. I mean, he's something that black people are proud of. He's something that African-American people are very sorrowful about right now because he passed so suddenly. You know, I think the most interesting thing I saw yesterday was the number of African-American people who were literally crying in the street, literally begging for it not to be true because he meant so much to a community across generation and race.
I mean, when he came up into his true superstardom with Thriller back in 1982, and even before that, when he was, right around then actually, when he was really rocking the MTV world with his videos, he was the first black singer to really break through the race barrier on MTV. They really weren't playing videos by anyone other than white artists at the time. He was the first to really break through. I mean, that was a significant development in and of itself.
Oh, absolutely. And that's part of why the racial pride is so deep for Michael Jackson, because at a moment where he was only on Friday night videos and he finally broke through to MTV, he was able to project himself into a global marketplace that opened the door for so many other African-American artists. He was ours, and then the world sort of took him, but he never left home in our minds, and that's what makes him so special. He, just like Jackie Robinson, just like Barack Obama, Michael Jackson was someone who tore down barriers for a whole lot of people.
Professor, what do you make of it? You know, because obviously later in life, he took a turn for the bizarre, and the skin bleaching was something that made headlines internationally. You know, he said he had a disease. Others speculated he was just bleaching his skin because he wanted to be white, or at least look white, and then he has children who look white, and you know what people believe, that he was somehow trying to transform himself into a white man from a black man. What is your belief, having known him, and how does that play into how people will remember him?
I think it reflects the complexity that is Michael Jackson. On the one hand, he was deeply proud of the African-American community. He was very proud to be black, and he felt deeply connected to the African-American community, particularly after his latest round of scandals, where it seemed like only the African-American community closed ranks around him when so many other people deserted him. The African-American community was there. But then on the other hand, this is someone who grew up being told that his nose was too big, his lips were too big, that he was too dark. Like many African-American people, he was told that his African features were undesirable. And so in many ways, he bought into that and took to some pretty self-destructive actions. And so that type of tension, that type of contradiction, not only reflects Michael Jackson, but many African-American people who struggle with this stuff.
Do you think that transformation then, just listening to you, had to do more with sort of a self-loathing? You know, the same reason a young girl will become an anorexic, or you know, somebody goes through obsessive plastic surgery, whether they're black or white. That's what he was struggling with, not so much a racial identity as an identity, period.
Absolutely. And when you spend time around Michael Jackson, as I have, you see a very deep, a very sullen, a very lonely person. And part of it had to do with issues of racial identity, not in terms of not being proud to be black, but not being proud of his very own black body, being sort of embarrassed by his features, and being told that at a young age by his parents, particularly his father. So there's this way in which Michael Jackson was a very dark and lonely and sad human being who often took to plastic surgery and perhaps even drugs as a way to medicate himself and to heal himself. And as we see, that was unsuccessful.
You know, I got to go, but I want to ask you quickly, I mean, what's the last thing you want to leave the viewers with when they think about him as a man and not just an icon?
That he was someone who cared deeply, who loved deeply, who was very passionate about his music, about his people, and about the entire world, in fact.
Professor Marc Lamont Hill, thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure.